Oh, fucking sorry. Let's jump into this. So this is episode 1 of the NasCon podcast. All right. So I am Connor Bradley, and this is
Nick.
All right. So let's do it. So my favorite sports teams, we got the Knicks, we got the Jets, we got the Rangers, and we got the Yankees.
I'm pretty much the same. We got the Jets, the Rangers, the Mets, and the Jets. No, did I say the Jets already?
I don't know. Well, you didn't say the Knicks.
The Knicks. I'm not a big NBA guy, but I am a Knicks fan.
You follow it, though.
I follow it. I know what's going on.
But listen, so it's football season. We're both Jet fans, and every year we play the same fucking game, and it's, hey, in July.
In July, we're 9-7. In August, maybe 7-9. And by the end of the year, we're 4-12.
Picking in the top 5. It's the same routine every single year. But for the first time in maybe a couple of years, it doesn't feel like that. Now, it does not feel like it's
we're not going to be 12-5,
right,
but this team finally has talent.
Right.
They finally have talent.
You know, I always bring it back to what Robert Saleh said the moment they drafted Zach Wilson. This franchise is going to put you up, not the other way around. Every regime we have, it feels like they're going to fail the quarterback that comes. But this one just feels a little different because they're showing it.
And I'll say Douglas followed it big time in the offseason. He had a big draft. He brought in real NFL talent. You look at this team from last year, there's non-NFL players on the roster all over the place. Defense, offense. It was probably the worst defense like in almost the league's history.
Yeah,
they finally bring it. They bring in Whitehead. They bring in DJ Reed. We draft Sauce Gardner. We get Lawson back. I mean, the defense has some talent on this team.
And for the first time in a while, it feels like they're going to go out and like it. Back in when we were going to the AFC Championship in those days, not saying that it's anywhere close to that yet, but what was our identity? It was ground and pound, and it was playing tough defense.
Hard defense.
Now, you look at our 2 running backs, 2 very good young running backs. Breece Hall, he was the best running back in the draft. Right. Michael Carter, 4th-round guy. He can catch passes out of the backfield. He can run the ball very well. And you look at the offensive line.
This is an offensive line that was pretty good. If you had to say, that probably was our strong point of the team last year, the offensive line, and they improved it. They bring in Lincoln Thompson. I know Dwayne Brown's old, but I think that he's still going to help. Right. So the offensive line has improved from it was already pretty solid last year.
Mm-hmm. And you look at the tight end room. The tight end room has been brutal since Dustin Keller was here. Now they bring in C.J. Uzomah, and who I think is going to be a little better than C.J. Uzomah is Tyler Conklin.
I think Conklin is definitely the number 1 tight end.
He just looks like when he's in like. Not that Uzomah doesn't. Uzomah, he brings that leadership and everything.
And we can now
Conklin just like he just looks like he's catching passes
100%. And now you actually have the personnel to run a double tight end when you get down in the red zone. And it's dangerous down there when they got to worry about Conklin and Uzomah. Right. You also have your receivers, which are deep. I mean, Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson could be a big time red zone guy with his size. So I mean, we have a lot of weapons that I think they're getting underrated by a lot of people, but they have a lot of weapons on this team.
Now, like we said, this team is deep. It's got guys at all the different positions. But when you look at it, it's going to come down to one thing, and that is Zach Wilson and how he's going to do. Now, listen, I think the world of Zach Wilson. We think he could be phenomenal, but we know that when people are a little skeptical about the Jets, it's because he can be phenomenal, but he could also be, you know,
what it's right now over the last how many years, right? Starting with Darnold and Geno Smith and Sanchez. We've seen it over and over and over.
But for first time in a while, it feels different, and it feels like they're going in the right direction, and that's all we want to see. I mean, first year of Salah, they didn't have a great record, but you look at the teams that they beat and that they played well. They beat Tennessee in what was kind of Zach's coming out party. Even though I don't even think he was that good in that game. He made a couple of bad passes where if he made a couple of better passes, the game would have been over. It was a 3rd and 10.
Shouldn't even been
over for overtime. Yeah, the game could have been over. And that was one of his better games. You know, you look at the Mike White game against Cincinnati, you know, that was just a fun game, but it showed that they're willing to play against these guys.
I think a big thing about that game that nobody talks about is, it was Mike White, it wasn't Zach Wilson, whatever. But to me, that was kind of the LaFleur coming out party.
Right.
As far as
he showed everything that he was able to, the trick plays and everything that he could pull up his sleeve.
Exactly. I have a lot of confidence in LaFleur as an offensive coordinator. And then he's probably my favorite offensive coordinator we've had in quite a while.
Probably since Changaley in 2015 with Ryan Fitzpatrick. But then you look at the Bucs game also, we lost that game.
Right.
That was probably Zach's best game as a rookie, just in terms of the nice intermediate passes, getting the ball around the field. So when they play against all these good teams very well, it gives you hope that when the team is getting better, that's how they'll respond.
100%. And I think you definitely saw improvement from Zach as the year went on. You know, after he got hurt and he came back, he was a different guy.
He was a little more settled. He wasn't anything crazy.
Wasn't turning the ball over like he was turning over at the beginning of the year. So you definitely saw strides from him towards the end of last year. Hopefully he can pick up right where he left off and continue those strides throughout this year.
Right. I agree. So now let's get into the rest of the NFL. You had a divisional bet that you put in. You did one last year. It went pretty well. It didn't win. You did what?
I think I was
7
6
and
for
9?
8.
6 of 8?
6 of 8 in the division.
All right. So what do we got this year? Let's start AFC.
So we're starting the AFC. I mean, AFC East, it's kind of the layup, the AFC East. I think everyone's taking the Bills, obviously. Unless something happens to Josh Allen, I can't see.
They're deep.
I mean,
loaded.
Like we said, we talk about the Jets. They're not ready to win the division yet.
No, they're not anywhere close to a
Miami could be, I guess, a sleeper team there.
I think everything depends on Tua, right?
Personally, I think New England's not any good at all. So
I say it every year, but eventually it's gonna happen.
To me, I think it's a layup. The Bills definitely, the AFC East, that's a pretty easy bet.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. You look at it, Josh Allen. I mean, he's getting every year he's getting better and better and better. This year, I think he's gonna go win the MVP. I mean, I think they're gonna be the best team in the AFC. Either them or the Chargers. I have a future bet on the Chargers that I'll get into, but. Yeah. Buffalo is just clear cut. I mean, they got the receivers. They brought in some running backs that hopefully because their running game's always been a problem. So hopefully that for them pushes them ahead. Right. They bring in Von Miller to an already vaunted defense. That's as easy as it's going to get. That's one we're going to.
Barring a tragic thing for Josh Allen, maybe an injury or something. Other than that, I mean, it's the Bills' division to lose. There's no way that they'll lose.
And they got a great head coach. I mean, McDermott. He's turned that franchise around. So,
100%.
All right, let's jump over to the AFC North. So now. We've gone back and forth a little bit over this division.
This is an interesting division.
So the defending AFC champions are in the division, the Bengals. They won it last year. They're probably only going to still get better because all these guys that they have. I mean, Jamar Chase, you assume is only going to get better. 100%. You assume Joe Burrow's only going to get better. Same thing with, the rest of that team. But now the Ravens, they're coming back. Lamar Jackson's in a contract year, and they're very deep in the secondary.
Yeah, I mean, here's my thing. I feel like a lot of people want to jump on the Ravens now. It's, the Bengals were like the darling last year. Mm-hmm. Nobody thought they were going to be great. They wanted to go on this run. They go to the Super Bowl. And now it's kind of like a popular opinion to be like, the Bengals are not going to be as good. My thing with the Bengals is they didn't lose a ton of guys. Yeah, they lose Uzomah as a tight end, but they kept majority of their main pieces
and they added someone offensive line.
And the offensive line, which was their biggest problem last year, Joe Burrow was running for his life all playoffs long. And they improved the offensive line big time this year. That's going to just make them better, in my opinion, and make them worse. This really, last year they arrived early. This was the year they were gearing for to be good. So, and they improved. I think that it's going to be tight for sure. I think that, like you said, the Ravens, they're getting guys back. It's big. They're getting Gus Edwards back now too. And
J.K. Dobbins, he was out last year. But, he's going to come back.
Both they have how their running game is. Lamar Jackson. I mean, they're definitely not going to be a last place team like they were last year. But I still think the Bengals are better. I like the Bengals a lot. I know they're not getting as much love, I guess, for whatever reason, because they went on that run last year. But
we also can't sleep on the Browns. And the Browns are a little complicated because of the Deshaun Watson case, but they still have a phenomenal running game.
And a phenomenal defense, too.
Right, the defense isn't going anywhere. The run game isn't going to go anywhere. And it's not like Jacoby Brissett is awful. They're still going to be a serviceable team until he gets back.
To me, the Brown situation is going to come down to how are they going to fare through those first 10, 11 games without 12?
Yeah, 12 games. If he comes back and they're a 500 team, there's no reason that
there's no reason that they can't get in. I don't know if they're going to win the division. They might think a little bit too big of a hole, but if they get one of those wild card spots, they could be dangerous in the playoffs with Deshaun Watson.
And now we've gone back and forth on the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, we're very opposite on.
So I don't think Pittsburgh's going to be that bad of a team, and I'll tell you what. Big Ben last year was a corpse, and they still made the playoffs. They have one of the best defenses in the league. Now you can go debate back and forth if it's DJ Watt, if it's Aaron Donald, but they have one of the best defensive players in the league on that defensive line. I mean, they have a good running game, and now the offensive line last year struggles, but Mitch Trubisky is a little bit more mobile. He could deal with that a little bit better. So I don't think this team is going to be that bad. Now, do I think they're going to be a playoff team? Probably not, but there's no reason they can't win about 8 or 9 games. I don't say no, but about around 8 games.
So that's kind of where we differ. I think I agree with you. Obviously the defense is one of the best defenses in the league. Mm-hmm. And, they have pieces. Najee Harris, I like Najee Harris a lot. He's one of my favorite fantasy players for this year. But I just, even last year with the guys they had, I understand you were saying that Roethlisberger's a corpse and all that. But listen, he still was able. The offensive line was fair, and he didn't have a lot of time. But I still think I don't love Trubisky. We don't know anything about Pickett really. Well, so to me, they struggled to score last year. It might be worse this year.
But I think it could be better just because. All right, look, Trubisky's not phenomenal, but the last time he was a starting quarterback of a team was the Bears team. They did make the playoffs. They had a good defense, and he is mobile enough that it could help them out a little bit more.
The other thing that I think is going to hurt them, as far you make good points. I think the other thing that's going to hurt them too is the conference they're playing in. Look at they're going to have to play 6 times. The Ravens, the Bengals, and the Browns. I mean, I bet maybe they go 2-4 there. I don't. They're not. I don't
Listen,
think
they're probably, I would say, the weak link, but that's how strong that division is, and how
very
strong this
strong.
conference is.
100%. The conference is a.
It's loaded.
I don't even have a word for it. It's ridiculous. It is, of course, as Jet fans, how unfair it is that finally we're coming up to be maybe something in the conference. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. So then we'll jump to the AFC South. So the AFC South, I mean, you could say the Texans probably, they still got their issues.
They're going to be the bottom of the barrel.
Now you look at Jacksonville. Jacksonville had a spending spree in free agency.
And they're put weapons around Lawrence, just kind of like the Jets.
They're trying to do the same thing with Trevor Lawrence as the Jets did with Zach Wilson, and they're doing what they have to do. Now, I'm actually a big fan of the Doug Peterson head coach signing. I think that's going to be good. I think they got two good running backs. I mean, they're coming both off injury, but Travis Etienne, I mean, if you're going to want anybody to help him get back into the game, it's the guy that he played with in college.
Of course.
And then James Robinson's very serviceable. I mean, he's been one of the better fantasy backs when he's playing because he can catch it and he can run it. So I don't think Jacksonville's going to be that bad. I could see them winning around 7 games. It's definitely possible.
I 100% agree.
And then we'll go to, I guess, the two teams that everybody thinks are the best.
So I took the Colts in the division bet. I was going back and forth on this though because I still think people sleep on Tennessee a little bit. Tennessee's another one of those teams. You know, I guess it's kind of similar to Pittsburgh, obviously a little better than them, but where they kind of have everything in place, but it's just a giant question mark at quarterback. Right. You don't know what you're getting from Tannehill. And
now it's tough. Now AJ Brown's gone. I mean, Julio Jones is never really a factor.
Exactly.
He's gone. So they technically replaced them with, Robert Woods and Treylon Burks. So I mean,
Robert Woods was a very nice sign.
Right, and he's coming off injury, but I like him. It's going to be tough to fill those guys' shoes, but once again, when you have a monster in the backfield, as they do with Derrick Henry, and he's going to go as far as that, he will take them. Now we look at it though. Indianapolis to me is a better overall team. I don't
100%
think that the Matt Ryan trade makes them some phenomenal team. I mean, he's fine to me.
See, I differ on that. I mean, I think, listen, Wentz, we saw what he was last year. He is what he is. Matt Ryan's a guy who's been on a bad team for a couple years now. I know we saw the end of his career, but to me, the Colts have one of the better offensive lines in football. Matt Ryan could, if he's protected, he could stand back there and deliver the ball. They, like I said, their defense is very good. They got pieces around them. So if they're going to block him, if they're going to block for him, I think he could stand back there and deliver the ball. I think their offense is going to be much better.
He's definitely going to be able to deliver the ball. I don't see it as much of an upgrade as maybe some people think, but they'll be a fine team, and I do think that they will win that division.
I agree.
Tennessee, they just lost Harold Landry out for the season. I mean,
that's a big blow to Tennessee.
Yeah, so I think they are looking at a different team. I could see the winner of that division though being 10 wins. I could see the winner being 10-7, the loser being 9-8.
I think that's probably. I mean, we don't know how the AFC East is going to play out with those bottom three teams, but that's probably the weakest division I would think.
I agree. And then now you want to go from the weakest, we'll go directly to the strongest, and that is the AFC West. Now, the NFC West to me is just, I mean, all 4 teams could end up in the playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I'll start off. I have a future bet on the Los Angeles Chargers to have the best record in the NFL. I got it at plus 1,500. It was like the 10th, the 10th, I guess, best odds to have that record. I think they might have the best roster in the NFL.
I kind of agree. I took them in the division bet also. I think that they're definitely the best team in that division. I mean, they are just they were getting better last year. They lost a lot of close games last year.
The thing to me was now, hopefully they learn from that. I mean, Brandon Staley, as his first year, he made a lot of dumb decisions, going for it on some 4th and things like that.
Making bad coaching mistakes, time management in the end.
They had a loss. Obviously, everything came down to the Raiders game, but they had a loss against Houston. If hey, you win that game, that Raiders game, doesn't mean anything. No, it doesn't mean it, but it doesn't mean as much. It's just. I look at that team. Justin Herbert's only getting better. I think he might be the 3rd best quarterback in the league. He might if you're looking at MVP candidates, he might be 1 and 2 to me with Allen. I said those 2 teams. I think those are going to be the best 2 teams in the AFC.
Yeah.
You got Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler. They bring back Mike Williams. I mean, the defense. They bring in Khalil Mack.
That's a huge. I know he's another guy towards the end of his career, but Khalil Mack going on that defense.
And you have Joe Bosa on the other side.
That's going to be dangerous.
Right. So I think to me, that's the best team in that division. I have them at plus 1,500 to have the best record in the NFL. I like that bet. I'll take it. I just think they're just going to continually get better.
I agree.
I then go say Vegas is the second best.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
I think
big Derek Carr.
I'm a huge Derek Carr. I love Derek Carr. I love that they got him, Devontae Adams. They played together. They, I think that's going to click big time. I actually think Devontae, people are kind of down on him for whatever reason because he's not with Aaron Rodgers. I think he's going to be just as good, if not better. They have a good connection with Derek Carr. I love Derek Carr. I know people shit on him, but I'm a big Derek Carr guy.
And they have Hunter Renfrow. I mean, he's a
very underrated player.
He's a phenomenal route runner. Josh Jacobs in the backfield, Darren Waller.
The only guy people are down on Josh Jacobs, it seems
like. Yeah, I actually heard something about that.
He's a solid running back.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, is he, maybe he's not Austin Eckler or Jonathan Taylor, guys like that, but
no, he's good.
He's a positive yard guy, exactly.
And then you look at now, new head coach, Josh McDaniels. He's been a head coach before in that division.
Winning situation, always was in a winning situation.
But now it's different because didn't really work out as a head coach.
Right,
but
correct.
This is an offensive type of guy. You're hoping when the offense is loaded as
quarterback guy specifically too.
So you're hoping that this could help them. I mean, the team that made the playoffs last year, so they're looking to get even better. But then you have the best quarterback in the league in the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, what's going to happen with them?
Here's my thing with the Chiefs. It might sound like a hot take. I don't think it's crazy that the Chiefs don't make the playoffs.
It's tough.
They're in a tough division. I think losing Tyreek Hill is going to hurt that offense. Listen, they still have Pat Mahomes, they still have Kelsey, but I think it just makes them easier to defend that Tyreek Hill is not there.
The guy that takes the top off is not going to be
exactly. There. And their defense was never phenomenal. It's okay. It's it's good. It gets them by. Losing Tyrann Mathieu hurts it even more. So. They're still going to be good. I'm not saying they're not going to be good, but the AFC is loaded. It's loaded like there's only so many spots.
It's no guarantee.
100%. There's only so many spots.
You also have Denver in this division. They bring in Russell Wilson. They have a new head coach, Nathaniel Hackett. He was at Aaron Rodgers for a couple of years. So, you figure that could be a good marriage between those two. I like their receiving core. Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton.
I agree. Their receiving core is definitely very good. And they always have a good defense down in Denver. Always. They've been good for a while. And they're still good on defense.
They might have the breakout fantasy running back of the season in Javonte Williams.
Yeah.
So, you look at this division, I'm not shocked if all four of them get it.
Right. There's nothing surprising coming out of here. I guess maybe if you tell me the Chiefs are in last place, that might be a little surprising. But, yeah, if you're asking me right now, top of my head, I'm going Chargers, Raiders, Chiefs, Broncos. That's just how I'm going. Mm-hmm. But, like you said, anyway, I wouldn't be surprised anyway.
No, I wouldn't either. You could say that the Broncos win the division. You could say any of them. Right. I'm not shocked.
But the thing is, I know there's 3 wildcard teams now, but it's very hard to get all 4 in. There's going to be a team there that's not getting in, right? Technically all 4 could get in, but like we went over before, the North's not a slouch division either.
Listen, if somebody has a tough division record and you're beating up on each other, next thing you know, they drop a couple of games.
That's what's going to happen.
Also, that division plays the NFC West, so those are tough games. Also, 100%. You're going to get LA, you're going to get San Francisco.
One of those 4 teams is definitely going to come up short. That's how I see it.
Yeah. So we'll jump over to the NFC. Just talking about the NFC West. So we'll jump into that division now. So we got the defending Super Bowl champions, the Rams. To me, they only get better. 100%. They bring in Allen Robinson. People are going to
basically he's a replacement for Robert Woods.
Or Odell.
Odell too, yeah.
Right, because he played more towards the end of the season because Robert Woods was out.
He was out for most of the year.
And then they bring in Bobby Wagner on the defensive side.
Another aging guy, but
he's an all-pro.
He can still play. He 100% can still play.
And maybe a little chip on his shoulder playing in the division. He's going to play his old team 2 times. So we'll talk about his old team. Not expecting much out from them in Seattle.
Yeah.
Geno, I'm the biggest Geno guy.
I know you love Geno. You're a big Geno guy.
Big Geno guy. Geno legend always, but they're going to struggle a little bit.
Not a lot of talent around them. They still got, Tyler Lockett's there.
DK Metcalf. No fan. I think he's there now.
Yeah, so they have some guy, but it's just they're in a tough situation. QB situation, we know that being Jet fans. When you don't have a quarterback, it's hard to win games.
Listen, you trade your franchise icon away after years and years of being a consistent playoff team. Maybe a couple down years are on the horizon.
I agree.
So then you look at San Francisco. Now it's a complicated situation.
Is interesting to me because
right.
To me, everyone's trying to compare San Francisco to what they were last year. They had the big run in the playoffs and all that, but nobody has any idea what Trey Lance is going to be.
Right. I kind of said it is a similar situation to the Miami situation where they have a lot of talent all over the roster, 100%. But it's going to come down to what the quarterback does because we don't know we're going to get Trey Lance. The last time he had game action was at North Dakota State.
Right. He got into some plays last year.
This is a team with expectations.
100%.
NFC Championship last year.
Which is to me, I'm not big on the Niners. Just because I don't know about Lance.
It's a tough.
Listen, if he steps in, this is like a Pat Mahomes situation where he sat a year, nobody knew, and then he came in and was the greatest thing. If that's that, then the Niners are the team.
Now
we don't know that.
Do they sign Jimmy G to be like the highest paid backup if they think that's the case? To us, that seems like it's like, hey, by week 12, if Jimmy G's in.
Well, that was what I was just going to say. How short is the leash with Lance? They know they have a good team. They know they could be a contender. if Lance is struggling out the gate, at what point do they say, hey, let's save the season with
And
Jimmy G?
a team that just went to the NFC Championship game, you know that if he does maybe throw a couple picks and lose them a couple games, or if he's just not performing, when does the media start saying, hey, put him in?
I'm very curious to see how quick that trigger is.
And I saw that report the other day saying, or maybe it was today, saying he was a little upset by them.
I saw that too.
So it's like, maybe there's a little something there, but for a kid that's going to play his first season in the NFL, obviously a second-year overall, but first season fully starting, having a guy like Kyle Shanahan is definitely something that's going to help him. I mean, he's going to be one of the best offensive minds in the game. He'll probably try to make it as easy as possible on him. And, they bring a guy back like Deebo Samuel that had that whole situation figured out. He's going to be able to get the ball in any situation. Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, safety net. So, San Francisco, they could still be a very good team. It's just the question mark that has to get answered.
100%.
And then Arizona
is interesting to me because so they're missing DeAndre Hopkins for the first 6 weeks of that suspension. You look at their schedule in the first 6 weeks, they're playing the Chiefs week 1 at home, then they go to Vegas to play the Raiders, then they're home for the Rams, at Carolina, who we'll get into later, I know you love, home for the Eagles, and then it eases up again at Seattle, and then he'll come back for the Saints game. But, I mean, that is brutal to start without him.
Yeah.
If they dig themselves too deep of a hole early, they could wind up.
And now the thing with them the last couple of years that they start off so hot and then they fade towards the end of the season. So, I mean, maybe that will kind of help them that if they can get off to maybe a 500 start or something similar on there, that they do have the reinforcements coming back to get hotter later in the season because they're going to need it. I mean, Cliff Kingsbury needs that. Kyler Murray, he just got a new contract and some things going on with that.
Very interesting.
So he wants to prove something also.
Of course.
So they got 3 very good teams in this division, but I think we're both in the same boat that this is the Rams division to lose.
100%. Rams division to lose. I like Arizona a lot. I'm just worried about that first 6 weeks of that schedule. If you tell me that they're 3-3 those first 6 weeks, then I think that they're probably the second team in that division. But if they're they dig a 1-5 hole now, you could be in some trouble no matter who you are. No, it's not. Looking at that schedule, I mean, they're playing all possible first place teams in the first 5 weeks.
Yeah. So it's going to be tough sledding in that division. It always seems to be. So we'll jump now over back east, NFC East. So I feel like this division is a little tricky for me personally because last year I was the biggest Cowboys guy. Yeah. I love the Cowboys. I was all over them all year long. I wanted them to win the division. I always say that if I had to be a professional athlete on any team in any sport, I would be a tight end on the Cowboys. I'm a diehard Jets fan. With those white jerseys,
as I said, closet Cowboys.
I just love it. I just love the Cowboys. But all year long, like I just looked at that roster last year and I said, this could be a good team. But going into this season now, they lose Amari Cooper. I'm not big on Zeke and Mike McCarthy as head coach. Plus, the team that wins it the division usually never wins it in back-to-back seasons.
It's been, I think, 10 years in a row now. They've had a different champion in that division.
Now you have
the Eagles. I took the Eagles. I mean, they're a team, I think, that their roster, like we said, the Chargers have one of the best rosters. Again, there's questions around Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as the rest of that roster goes, they got 2 elite wide receivers now with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith for Jalen Hurts. They just made the trade with the Saints for his name is escaping me now. The DB. Gardner. Yeah. So they were starting to come on towards the end of last year. Also,
they made the playoffs.
That's what I mean. They made a run. They got in last year. Mm-hmm. I know. Again, Hurts.
It's a question mark, but they found their niche last season in the fact that they got a great offensive line, one of the best in the league, and they run the ball phenomenally. He can run it himself, and they got a couple of good running backs.
And now adding A.J. Brown to that.
Right.
Offense.
So it's going to make them so much just dangerous. Now, I don't think it's a similar situation to me as the AFC South that the winner of this division doesn't need to win a ton of games. I can see that being a similar 10-7.
Which it's kind of been that way in this division.
It always
for a while,
seems to be like the Sunday night.
And now the 10-7 is kind of like a new.
I mean, how many years in the past was it the Sunday Night Football?
NFC East,
7-9, like 7-8
teams. Not 2 years ago, the Eagles laid down against the Redskins. The winner 7-9.
And the Giants were 6-10 that season. They had a chance to make the playoffs.
It always seems like it doesn't take a ton of wins, but they beat up on each other.
But the
Eagles,
it's
always competitive.
The Hurts, I do like Jalen Hurts. He runs the ball. He's got to be a little more consistent with it. But overall, I think they have the best roster, and I like them to win. I mean, I don't think Washington's going to be a bad football team, though.
I'm very honestly.
It's tough because of Carson Wentz. I mean, listen,
so Washington's a team to me. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Washington was 4-13. I wouldn't be surprised if they were 9-8.
I kind of
it could kind of go any way with Washington.
And then you look at the Giants. I mean, I don't like the Giants at all, but I think they're going to be awful. I hope they're
And
awful.
I think they I think they kind of know it too. I mean, they had to get rid of a lot of guys. Gettleman left them in a horrible cap spot.
It was bad.
So they're trying to. This is kind of like a cleanup year.
And
for
Joe
them.
Shane kind of came out and said that
right.
It was going to be something like that.
This is what we were left with. We're cleaning it up, and they're kind of, I think, a year behind where the Jets are. Where next year they're going to look like the Jets, where they have some optimism. Maybe they have a quarterback.
And I kind of even feel that's a year after that.
Yeah, true, because they got a rookie quarterback.
Right. So, and I mean, listen. It's similar to what we were in where we knew, and we knew that the next year's class was going to be so good. We knew that Trevor Lawrence was coming out. Obviously, I didn't know much about Zach Wilson at the time, but we all knew that.
Nobody really did.
But we knew it was a much better class, and the Giants, they're probably looking at it as, hey, this is the Bryce Young, this is CJ Stroud. We need,
100%. They know, the guys in that room, they know that this is kind of just the rebuilding year.
But I do like what they've set in place. I mean, Joe Shane, he knows what he's got to do. You got to shed the cap.
Brian Daboll, be a great coach.
And I think he's a good coach. I mean, hey, I love that he's a Rangers guy.
Yeah,
he showed up for all of our
big Ranger guy.
So I mean, listen, I do like the head coach. What he did with Josh Allen, he's one of the reasons
that was a big
reason.
I almost feel like the Giants kind of know no matter what happens this year, Daniel Jones is not the guy, and they bring in Daboll because whoever they're going to draft, they want him to groom.
And I think that's a very good idea because he groomed Josh Allen.
Right,
what he's
100%.
So, and then you look at the head coach, McDermott, he's not an offensive type of guy, so Daboll had a ton to do with that.
100%.
So I do like what the Giants have going in that aspect. Obviously, we'll see what happens on the field this season. Probably could be. Craig said on the radio today, he's like best case scenario 7-10, but most likely it's because you don't even want to go 7-10.
No, that hurts them. They're not going to. What quarterback are they picking?
Right. They're not going to trade up a bunch to get up there.
The only thing that I will say about the Giants, and just about the NFC, I just think the NFC is just compared to the AFC is a weak conference. So you might be able to pick up. We don't know. Like you said, there's always a team that everyone thinks is going to be good that's not, and a team that's going to be bad that's good. Right. But so you don't really know. But I mean, when you look at the NFC on paper, I mean, there's probably, I don't know off the top of my head the Giants schedule, but there's probably some games there that they could steal. I'm sure. I think they play the Bears. They're gonna in the division games. Listen, they're probably just as good, maybe as Washington.
Listen, that they're gonna play tough. I mean, they never. These guys aren't laying over. I mean, they're not. They're not even that bad of a team. Like there's gonna be games that
there's not gonna be no third down QB sneaks like there was last year.
I mean, listen, you play a team like Washington. You just said they could be bad. Like you wouldn't be surprised they could pick one off them.
Right. Exactly. So I mean. Is it crazy that the Giants can win 5 or 6 games? Probably not. Mm-hmm. But like we said, it probably benefits them more to maybe win 3 or 4, and then they'll be right in line to get Stroud or
Bryce Young. Yeah. So we're in agreement on the division. It's Philly, it's Dallas, probably Washington, and then the Giants. So we'll jump over to the NFC North now, and we're looking at maybe some new blood at the top of that division.
I'm very high on the Vikings this year. I took the Vikings in the division back. I think the loss of Devontae Adams is really going to hurt Green Bay. Mm-hmm. That was kind of their connection. I know they have some other guys. Lazard's a guy I like, but they don't have the guy.
I'll put it kind of in this aspect now, because you look at Patrick Mahomes, you look at Aaron Rodgers, they're two very similar guys in the fact that they're going to make anybody around them better. But I look at a couple guys maybe that the Chiefs had, like they brought over Valdez-Scantling from Green Bay.
Correct. That's a big loss for them.
Juju's been a number 1 guy in this league. There's no reason that Patrick Mahomes can't make him something like that.
100%.
So you look at the Packers, and it's kind of like
they don't have a guy like that. I mean, who's their number? Is Lazard going to be the number 1?
They have Randall Cobb, so they drafted the kid Christian Watson. They have Sky Moore. I don't know the Chiefs. I don't know. I forget, to be honest with you. But they just don't have anybody that's like the big thing. They're going to miss Devontae.
And another thing too that nobody talks about. Not everybody's Tom Brady. Aaron Rodgers is 38 years old now. Like not everyone's going to be able to play like that to their 45 years.
I disagree. I think he's second.
Yeah.
Still,
you don't think that he's ever going to take a slide?
Oh, I think he will.
Because not everybody's Brady. Like Brady, that is such an anomaly that Brady.
He plays a different game.
You see guys slow down.
I still think he's that guy. I do. I think, but it could be tough because he doesn't have.
He don't have anybody. That's what I mean.
So listen, they do ever still running. They have AJ Dillon, they have Aaron Jones. They're still going to be able to run the ball.
I think they're going to run the ball a lot more than they ever did before.
I mean, listen, I just think that Aaron Rodgers is still that guy, but I still think they can take a step back. And when you look at Minnesota,
they wouldn't surprise me if the Green Bay won the division.
No, not at all.
But I just like Minnesota.
When you look at the weapons they have compared to the weapons that the Vikings have, I mean, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, they have Dalvin Cook in the backfield.
Justin Jefferson, he's one of the
best
receivers in the league.
And then when you look at the fact that Kirk Cousins was brought over here, and his numbers haven't been
You
that
know how I
bad.
feel about Kirk Cousins. Like back in the day when the Jets had a chance, I wanted Kirk Cousins. Is he the best quarterback in the league? No, but is he the worst? Absolutely not. He's right in the middle. He gets the job done.
I think he threw for 35 touchdowns, like 7 picks last
100%.
season. And now they never had a coach there in Minnesota that is an offensive type of coach. Now they bring one in who's going to highlight and spotlight everything that he could do. I just think that
that's an underrated defense too. They have a very good defense on the defense side of the ball. They are. I'm trying. The names are escaping me now. I'm trying to think, but I know they get a lot.
They always even the look that they bring, the Vikings, the purple. It feels like they can play some tough defense, and they have in the past. So
and they've always been, even in the last couple of years where they haven't been great, they're always a pain in the ass team to play.
And there's winnable games in that division. I mean, we both think that the Lions are going to be a better team, but they could beat them. Chicago,
the Bears might be the worst team in the league this year. I mean,
so I think they're on par with Green Bay. So
I agree.
In week 1,
and those games are going to matter. That first week one, listen, I know it's week 1, but this is not like the other sport. That's a big game in the standings.
I mean, listen, if the Mets were playing the Braves with 18 games left,
that's a big game. 100%.
17 games, whatever it may be. But that, and let's get into the Lions quick, because that's a topic that around our group has been.
Yeah, that's very true.
So I'm a Jared Goff. I'm not a Jared Goff guy, but
I like Jared. I like Jared Goff. A couple of our friends think he's horrible, but Ryan, we're shooting you out. But I like Jared. I don't think, like you said,
he's an average quarterback.
You know what? He reminds me a lot of Kirk Cousins. Where he's not gonna win you the games, but I don't think he's losing you games.
No. And now you even look at that team. I love Dan Campbell as a coach. He brings the energy. Guys are going to play for him. When a guy will play for the coach, that's big to me. They're all bought in, and you can tell that. And then you look, they have DeAndre Swift. They have Jamal Williams. They have TJ Hawkinson. On the outside, Amon-Ra St. Brown was one of the most electric players last year. He's only going to get better. And then, listen, it's going to take a few weeks for him to get back. Jameson Williams, love that draft pick for them. And they bring in DJ Chark, who's nothing, crazy.
I mean, he's not bad. Listen, he was on a bad Jaguar team.
And he can put up
numbers. Yeah.
And especially in an offense that they'll be moving the ball around. I don't think that's a bad team. Now, I don't think they're going to be winning a lot of games, but I could see them moving about 7 games.
Possibly. Yeah, I kind of look at them similarly, not exactly the same situation, but similarly like I look at the Jets. I think that they're going to compete in games. Like even in games they lose, they're not going to get blown out of games. They're going to be competitive all year.
Yeah, I 100% agree. So let's get to the last division, the NFC South. That's also been, we've gone back and forth in that. Now, you took the Saints to win that division.
I did take the Saints to win that division.
Okay.
Here's my thing. Tampa definitely has the most talent in that division. I think there's no question about that. I get this feeling that Brady's kind of checked out. He took the weeks off in training camp where, nobody really even knows what he was doing. I mean, there's rumors about whatever he was on, The Masked Singer or some shit like that, but nobody really knows what he was doing. So I feel like Giselle don't want him playing. Part of me thinks
I think that rumor is the one that
I kind of agree. Part of me thinks the only reason why he is playing because he got ticked last year that Schefter had the leak that he was retiring, and he's kind of like, well, now I'm not.
No, I'm not playing.
So, part of me just thinks he's kind of checked out. And the Saints, to me, are a team that even since he came to Tampa, they always play Tampa tough. They
beat him last year.
They beat them all the time. Am I in love with Jameis Winston? No, but I think.
But he wasn't bad.
He always listen. His biggest thing is he got a turnover problem because he
leads the league in picks money.
Always, but he always he has a lot of touchdowns all year long. He throws for big yardage. Even when he was in Tampa, he threw for big yardage.
But last year, at the beginning of the season, before he got hurt, he did look good.
Oh, 100%. And listen, they're a top 5 defense in the league.
They have a very good defense, and
they have weapons.
I love Alvin Kamara. I mean, Michael Thomas, he's a little banged up right now.
Yeah, I love that draft pick Olave. I think he's going to help Winston a lot. Right. That's a team. I don't know. I think they're going to be very good. Because I feel like maybe could they be 11-6 and be in a tiebreaker situation with Tampa? I
don't see them being that good, but I could see them winning 8-9 games. I mean, listen, they could be that team that.
To me, if there's a team, I know you like the Panthers. To me, if there's a team that could knock off Tampa, it's the Saints. Just because they're not afraid of Tampa. They've beaten Tampa. They could beat them again. So if they can win the head-to-head matchups, maybe they could find themselves in a tiebreaker. I've discussed with you before. Brady, even back in New England, sometimes they get a little slow out of the gate. Yeah. They've done it before. How many times you hear, the demise of Brady?
They won the wild card.
They're 2-2. Right, and then they get on their roll. So. to maybe if they could steal one from them and they find themselves in a tiebreaker situation, I think that's the team maybe that can knock them off.
So I look at it. I don't even look at it as a situation of knocking them off, but I'm a big Panthers guy, and now I look at it as all right. So the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and I said that last year they were going to be a better regular season team. They were. They won the division. They had a better record. Everything that didn't equate to playoff success,
right?
But I don't think they're going to be as good in the regular season as they were this year. And I still think that they can win the division. I just look at Carolina as that team maybe that could finish in second, be stingy, be 9-8. Now, is it possible? No. Is it possible? Yes. Is it? We never know. But I'm taking my bet on it at Carolina to make the playoffs. I got it at plus 340. I just look at it as I'm a big Baker Mayfield guy. Yeah. I wanted the Jets to draft him. That was the guy that I wanted. Now he goes to Cleveland. I mean, we saw it ourselves. The first game that he plays in is against
the Jets, as usual.
Right. And then he helped save Cleveland football. He was never some phenomenal quarterback, but he was good. He was a good quarterback. They had a good defense. They don't have as good as a defense as they do in Cleveland as they do in Carolina, but it's not bad. Matt Rule, as a coach, if this isn't a good year for him, he's done. He needs this season.
True.
Baker Mayfield's at his best when he has a chip on his shoulder. He just got traded away from the team that took him first overall and is playing them week one. There's no bigger chip on the shoulder for you.
You gotta love that.
And I just feel like Christian McCaffrey, we all know he has the injury history. I'm betting on the fact that
that's the thing with Carolina. If you're gonna tell me that McCaffrey's gonna be healthy for 17 games, then I could see what you're saying. I could see them.
And I'm betting on the fact that he could be.
But if he's not, it could bottom out the other way if he's healthy, because Mayfield, he can use it. Without him, that could be a problem there on offense.
And I mean, listen, it's not like they don't have receivers. I mean, DJ Moore's very good. Robbie Anderson, he can take the top off. They just brought in Laviska Shenault. I mean, Matt Rule, he's supposed to be this good offensive mind. Let's see maybe what you could do with a guy who could be a Swiss Army knife type of player. I could see, we always say
McCaffrey makes that offense.
Right. And if he's healthy, and I just have a weird gut feeling he might be, I'm going to take that.
I hope he is, because I took him in 2 fantasy leagues. I hope you're right about that.
I just think that they could be a team. Now, I guess we're both in agreement, as is the majority of everybody. Atlanta is the worst team in that division.
Yeah, I don't think it's really that close. I mean, I always like Mariota, but
it's
there's not really a lot going on there. Kyle Pitts, I guess he's
very good. I mean, you'll see what happens with Drake London.
Is okay.
But they should be in a situation where they're looking to get Bryce Young or CJ Stroud.
They're looking to be a top 5 pick, and hopefully not even have to move up.
Right. So that'll do it for the divisions. So we're going to have our 3 picks for the weekend. We're gonna track it throughout the season, see who has the best record. Maybe if we figure out throughout the season, maybe we do like punishment or something.
Better, something. Yeah, make it fun.
So I guess I'll start off. We'll go 1-1.
We'll go 1-1. All right.
So I'm just gonna rattle it off. And I already put the bet in, so I'll just whip it out. But I know for a fact, because it will be in my Survivor League, it's gonna be the pick in the Survivor League. Just talked about it a minute ago. I'm taking Carolina in the Survivor League. I'm taking them. I took the money line. Yeah, my hands not gonna open this whatever right now anyway. My fingers sweating. But listen, no Deshaun Watson for the Browns, right? I think I've seen it before at -2. I would take that. I mean, for the Survivor League, I only have to take them to win.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is the storyline game of the weekend. 100%. Baker Mayfield. I mean, he's a guy that he's not the single-handedly reason, but he helped save Cleveland football, put them in the playoffs.
Yeah.
For a while they thought that this was really going to be our guy, and now he's opening up on a different team against you week 1. He wants it more than anything. In that game, there will be a healthy Christian McCaffrey because
100%, he's going to be there, right?
And I mean, how do you not take the Panthers? I love them in this game.
They're home,
it's in Carolina. I love it. I mean, no Jacoby Brissett, no Deshaun Watson. Listen, Cleveland's got a great defense, but Baker, chip on his shoulder. He's never better than when he had a chip on his shoulder. That's what I'm taking.
I like it. Now, what's funny, I'm going to go with my suicide pick for the first one, too. I'm going to go down to Miami. The Dolphins -3 at home against the Patriots. As we talked about before, the Patriots, to me, I just don't see a lot there. I think Miami has things to prove. Tua, it's a big year for Tua. If Tua doesn't show what he is, they might be thinking about moving on if they don't have a good year. They added Tyreek Hill, they have Waddle. I think Miami's going to be pretty good this year, and I don't think.
I mean, they have a good defense as well.
100%, and I don't think that New England's going to be as good as they were last year, and
Now I do agree with that pick. I'll probably end up betting them at some point throughout the day because New England just listen. They're not going to be. I don't think they're going to be a bad team, but they didn't get better.
Well, yeah, and also another thing too about that pick is New England, even going back to the Brady days, they always struggle when they go down to Miami.
They do.
They
always
never play well down in Miami. So the game's in Miami. It's the first week. Dolphins trying to make a statement.
And I would like to see what new head coach Mike McDaniel.
That's true.
What he's going to do against Belichick. I mean, Belichick, the big defensive mind.
Yeah.
Get out. Big homer for the Mets. Nah, listen.
Brandon Nimmo,
but
baby.
I mean, Belichick, big, the defensive mind against Mike McDaniel, who's brought here to bring to it to the next level. So that'll be a nice matchup of the minds. So now I'll go to my next game, and I'm going over 48.5 in Philly and Detroit.
Yeah.
So we harped on these, right? I think that every week one, there's a wild game.
And week one's always the toughest week to bet also.
And I look at, like we said, we think the Lions, we say they're similar to the Jets. Like we're not expecting them maybe to be some 10-win team, but to be around 7, maybe 8, wins. I mean, we hope maybe the Jets could be more than that. But like they played the good teams last year tough. Yeah. They got better. And at home, they have weapons. I look at it as,
not a crazy high number. It was 48.5.
Not crazy. I can see both teams getting, putting up over 25.
Definitely.
And, or maybe I'll take a 28-24 game. That gets the job done.
It is. Gets it done.
And I just feel like a shiny new toy in A.J. Brown for Philly. They're going to want to try to move the ball downfield. I mean, they have Devontae Smith. They have Dallas Goddard. What is his name?
Yeah, Goddard.
No, I know it's Goddard. His first name Dallas?
I think you might be right.
I hope so. Rick. But yeah, they got guys. I mean, the Lions, like I said, they got DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams. I mean, T.J. Hockenson, Amon-Ra. So I could see points being up in that game. I think that could be the wild week one game, and I'm very tempted to take the Lions money line just as like a side bet.
I was looking at the Lions too. I mean, listen, I have the Eagles winning the division, but
just listen. I can still go on and
like we said, there's always that one week one. And last year it was the Bengals. I think were they playing the Vikings? Was it?
No,
I think it was the Vikings on opening week.
Are you talking about that Packers game?
No, the opening week last year.
Yeah.
You were here.
The
Bengals, they beat the Vikings. They beat the kick on the last play of the game. They beat the Vikings, and everyone was like, "Wow, look, the Bengals."
I think I had them.
Yeah, you were big on the Bengals last year. So there's always that one game where everyone's kind of like, "Well, look at that."
Because I remember the game they played against Green Bay where McPherson and
I remember that game too.
Yes, and everything. But yeah, so that's my second pick. I just think that might be the wild game. I think there might be a lot of points. So I think that could be the fun week one game.
I like it. Listen, I might jump on that too. My second pick, I'm going to go to Sunday Night Football in Dallas. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take the Cowboys +2 here. Here's my reasoning. You might laugh at me, but like I said before, the Brady teams going back even to in New England. How many times you hear Brady? Oh, they're 2-2. That they always kind of come out slow.
And I do think that this layoff he had could.
Yeah. He didn't have a training camp. He might, he wasn't practicing a lot. I'm sure he's gonna be ready to go. But Dallas is another team where people are picking the Eagles over Dallas. It's kind of a statement game. They're Jerry World. They're gonna be going nuts. Sunday Night Football. I think it's gonna be a close game. I think the Cowboys might win it, but I'll take the 2 because I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a field goal,
maybe a field goal on a win. No, I don't hate that bet. I mean, I kind of just get a weird aura around that Tampa Bay team. I mean, I don't even think he's a bad coach, but it's just going to be his first game as Bucs coach for Todd Bowles.
Todd Bowles, listen, how I feel about Todd Bowles.
You don't like him. I mean, I don't think he was bad for us. I mean, we had his best season in the last 10 years with him.
Yeah, we did, but the team was also. I mean, that was the 2015 year. We had pieces there too. We had Decker,
we did.
Guys.
I'm not a big Todd Bowles. I don't think he's going to be bad though. And I mean, listen, their defense. He'll have that defense ready to play. But I do think if Dallas can make Brady uncomfortable after maybe a limited camp and everything, it's definitely not. I like that. So then I'm going to jump into my last one. I took the money line in my parlay, but yeah, it's at +2 right now. Okay. And we just talked about how important of a game it is, and that's the Vikings and the Packers. I'm taking the Vikings. Opening week, home dog. I'll take that all day.
Love it.
I mean, I think they want to come out and make a statement and show that, hey, we're here to play. We want this division. We don't think you guys are as strong as you were. and we're even better than we are.
100%.
So I'm all over the Vikings week 1, and I'm taking a money line. The parlay's in. The parlay's in. It's Panthers. I had that free bet. I put it in, but if I'm going to probably take the Panthers straight by themselves, and if that hits, I'm throwing it all on Minnesota right after.
Love it. I'm going to be all in Minnesota.
Right.
My last pick's kind of a similar situation where, listen, I'm taking the Bengals minus 6.5. They're playing the Steelers. They're at home.
Mm-hmm.
People are kind of down on them. I would lay 10 right now if they were playing this. I think the Bengals are going to blow them out of the building. They're going to show we're back. We're ready to play.
Right. We're not.
That
wasn't a fluke.
It wasn't a fluke. I think they're just going to hammer them. So,
and even though I did kind of just stick up for Pittsburgh, I don't hate that pick because I do think that they want to send a message that
100%.
The AFC Championship, like there's teams that you look at have a better record than us. We're still here. We're still loaded. We're still we're ready to go. And I think there's no better team than to come out against Pittsburgh, maybe. Which, listen, like I said,
they were in that division for a while.
Right.
They might not be there anymore, but they were running that division for a long time.
And that'd be a big game for them.
It's a huge game. Yeah. So just recap, I got Dolphins -3, Cowboys +2, and the Bengals -6.5.
I got Minnesota +2, Carolina -2, over 48 in Philadelphia, Detroit. That's an NFL preview. That's all the divisions, some picks, some futures, everything. And I guess we could say that that's an episode 1.
Let's get ready for football
Sunday.
This
Sunday, let's do it. Fun episode. We'll see you next week.
I think it was